Okay, so this next one is not quite as long, but it's about how we started whaling up here. And one day there was a raven, and he was flying around, wondering what to do. And so he flew towards the ocean and started thinking, I wonder how far I can go out to the ocean. So he decided to test himself. And so he flew and he flew and he flew. And after a while, he started getting tired. And so, and there was nowhere to land. So he kept flying and flying around, and he saw this little tiny island. So he flew there and landed. Oh, it felt so good, but all of a sudden it started moving. And he realized it was a creature. And so, and the creature just came up, and it was a whale. It came up, and then it dove straight down, and with all that pressure, he just took him down, and then he came up again, and he got off balance, and the whale opened its mouth, and it ate it, and just ate it whole. And so he is traveling towards the stomach of this thing, and so when he reached the stomach, he was surprised it was like a shape of a sod house, and it looked just like an ordinary house, sod house. And here was this lady with a wing, just dusting and sweeping, and she was busy doing all kinds of things. And the raven just kept watching wherever she was. She was so busy she didn't even notice the raven, and until she almost bumped into him. Ah, what you doing here? And he said, the whale swallowed me, and here I am. I don't know how to get out, so I guess I'm here with you. And so she said, okay, you can live and eat here. There's a lot of krill you can eat, just around. And so eat whatever you want. And but I got to take care of a lot of things, so don't mind me. And so, but whatever you do, don't touch this lamp, seal oil lamp. And so he said, okay, I won't. And so several days went by, and he, first couple of days, he ate, and he said, oh, this is pretty nice. Just eat and do nothing. And but after a while, he started looking at that seal oil lamp, and so on the third day, he almost touched it, and so, but he decided, no, I better not. And so on the fourth day, he decided, well, I'm going to touch it just a little tiny bit. And he touched it just a little bit. And all of a sudden, there was like an earthquake. He was just moving everywhere. And soon there was blood just gushing everywhere. Blood, blood, blood. And just, oh my gosh, what's happening? And so, even before this, I got to say this. This lady before this said, she would just disappear for a few minutes and come back in and start being busy again. And every half hour or so, she would just go out and just disappear. He didn't know where she went, and then would just come back. But anyway, this blood started gushing everywhere. Oh my gosh, what did I do? And the whale was just going up and down, and just going crazy. And after a while, it started slowing down. Pretty soon, it was just floating. And after a while, it just stopped. So he knew that he killed the whale. So he started swimming in the blood. He had to get out. So he started just swimming, and he realized he was by the mouth of the whale, and tried to get out, and he got his little beak out into the air. Oh, finally got some fresh air, and he's just rested and got some fresh air to breathe. And then after a while, he decided he's going to try to get out somehow. And that whale was just shut tight, and so he had to really use all his strength to get out. Little by little, he finally got out. And he realized it had beached up to the land, and he looked at himself. He was just covered in blood, and so he decided he's going to wash himself. So he went to the ocean and started washing, and his feathers came out, and his wings became arms, and he washed himself all over, and he became a human, and he was going to wash his face, and his beak came out, and so he just became a human. And so he was looking around, and he saw some in the bluffs, some people just peeking over and just watching him. And so he told them to come, and which was a signal that he's friendly. And so little by little, they started trickling down, and more people in the back, and they're starting to come to him. And they said, "What happened?" And he said, "I was a tuluak. I was a raven, and I got swallowed by a whale, and I touched this seal oil lamp that I'm not supposed to touch, and I killed the whale." And they said, "Yeah, we've been seeing whales go by. We've only hunted for the bearded seals and the seals and off the ocean, but we've never even hunted whales before. We were wondering what they taste like." And so they decided they clothed them and everything, and they decided, well, let's try it. So they took out their knives and took out a piece and sliced it and put them in the pot, and oh my gosh, the unalik, oh my gosh, that's so good. And so they decided they're going to cut it up, and they store it into their sirloks, and they butchered the whole whale, and they got to the meat, and they said, "This isn't a fish. Look at it's real meat." And so they got the meat, and they cut it up and put it in a pot also, and they made use of everything. The tongue, the intestines, whatever we eat today, you know, kidneys. And they said, we're not going to starve this year. And so they put away a whole bunch of that whale, and they decided they're going to start whaling. And they, instead of using just their kayaks, they decided to make a big boat, the umiak. So several men can go in there and, you know, oar and then they made a harpoon much larger than the ones that they used, and they started going whaling. From then on, they started whaling, and so they started. And they had this man, they called him Tuluak, and Tuluak was their very first captain, and he was a very successful captain, and he started whaling, and he told people what to do, and then they went out whaling, and they were always successful. And ever since then, Inuit people started whaling with the help of a raven. So, yeah, so that's...
So in that story, the woman, she represented the whale spirit?
Yeah, the whale, that was a whale spirit. And he realized that was a whale spirit. And every now and then when she did disappear, then the whale had come up to breed.
And she had to breed too.
Uh-huh. And so, and then she would come back and start cleaning again. And
is that a story more tailored to children, the whaling story, or?
Yeah, we learned that in kindergarten.
Because even the way you tell it, like even the pitch of your voice and stuff like it changes a little bit from the first story.
Yeah, I would tell it to little kids. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
What's great about that story too, I think, is it explains something that I think children would be naturally curious about.
Yeah.
You know?
They always ask me, "Is that real?"
Yeah.
You know.
Because why you hunt a seal is not a big mystery. Why you hunt a caribou? I mean, they're small enough, right? But the fact that without modern technology would say we're going to kill that. Like, that.
Yeah.
There was some mention of Point Hope's remains in the Ilisagvik too, about the older site only having walrus bones and up to that large of an animal.
Iputak?
Ilisagvik?
Yeah. The people were called Iputak, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that site?
Okay. Yeah. And
they had different types of spearheads too. Like they said something about they didn't have the toggle-headed spearheads in that site, but then they used them in the more modern.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty interesting too.
Yeah.
So their technology and their hunting changed a lot.
When you think about it too, like if you think about across the world, it's amazing how many stories take place in the belly of a whale. Right? I mean, you got Jonah. You know this kind of story. I mean, even if you think of Pinocchio. I mean, even if you think more modern, you think of Finding Nemo.
Oh.
Like they go into and the belly of the whale is always this place where you have this transformative moment. You know, like all those stories, they have a transformative moment in the belly of a whale. Which, if you think about settings for stories,
yeah.
Kind of like the Dark Woods in Dante, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I sometimes wonder why across so many cultures the belly of a whale is a place where you go through it. You have like an epiphany. You go through a change.
Yeah.
Probably because how terrifying it is, and if people make it out of that, they're completely changed and have a different perspective.
Right. I mean, I don't know if it's. I don't know how many people have actually got eaten by a whale. I would gather none, maybe. But it's funny how like the fear of that happening. Even if you think about Moby Dick, like the fear of the whale in Moby Dick, which is unreasonable. There's really no reason to fear a whale. Whales are not destructive.
Yeah, unless you're out in the boat.
Well, yeah. But naturally, they're not destructive. Like they're not.
Except for killer whales.
Yeah. But certainly the way that he's describing, like Moby Dick, like the whales aren't like that. They're not.
Yeah.
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 Interesting.
My uncle has. Speaking of killer whales, my uncle, Kunuk, he said this is a true story, and that once they went walrus hunting, and there was a herd, and they got one of the walruses, and they were butchering it on the ice floe, and but the herd went away, but then they started coming back, and they used their tusks to start chipping away at the ice floe, and it was getting smaller and smaller, and they started praying at that time. They didn't know what to do because it was a huge herd, and so they started praying, and there were several killer whales that came and scared away the herd of the walruses away, and then when they pulled off, they turned and went on their way, and so he says their lives were saved by killer whales.
That's a true story.
Yeah, it's a true story. Yeah.
It's funny with the whale story too. This idea of he swims through blood and changes, and then like blood. Like if you think about so many stories where blood is like the key to change. Even if you think about Christianity, the blood is key to changing. And
Yeah.
Think about Dracula. You think about so many stories where you swim through blood or drink blood or I mean,
or even Jesus. When we drink the wine or the grape juice that represents his blood.
Right.
Yeah.